feel free. And again, the Q&A section, unless it is like really specific to one specific slide, I will most likely leave it to the end. So just so you know, I'm not ignoring you. I will answer questions. It's just, I want to make sure that I get through the content because that's really what you're here for, okay? So the information that I've gathered today has been, I guess, gathered off of the sheer amount of conversations we as a business have had. Now, some of you may have had calls with me before on sessions like this. Some of you may not. But for those of you that haven't, I spend lots of my time talking to people. I must do 40 to 50 calls a month at this current point in time, half-an-hour sessions, and I just look to help as much as I can, right? So I will answer and give strategy. I will give people specific changes they need to make, but I also really get an understanding of why people are struggling online. And what I'd love to know is maybe the reasons why you think you're struggling. Because if you're here, I guess you probably think you can get better results. Now, from what I've found, especially the last 11 months of this year, is that these 5 reasons come up time and time and time again. And as I bring them up and I give you the context behind them, what I would love to know is which one of these 5 most resonate with you. And in the chat box is totally fine. And again, I want to kind of see where your head, mind, business is currently at, purely because all 5 I'm going to cover. But if there is one that stands out above the rest, I will spend more time on that specific point to help the majority. And the first one is this thing called the algorithm that so many people talk about online. Now, the algorithm for me is just about people. It's what us as people resonate with online and what triggers us to react or comment. Now, the more reactions and comments we get, the more engagement and more impressions we get. Therefore, the more followers, the more opportunities to send messages, the more leads come through. Very, very logical, lots of common sense here. But what I find is lots of people struggle to get engagement. They struggle to get their content seen by the right people. When I say the right people, what I mean by that is their prospects, the people that they're actively trying to connect with on platforms like LinkedIn. And so number 1 comes down to an understanding of how the platform works. You've got to get to grips with what makes LinkedIn tick. The same goes for every other social media platform that you use. You've got to understand what content, how to send messages, how to build your network, how to build your audiences. There's simple things that I'm going to be sharing with you today to get the basics right. But number 1 is people just don't know how this platform really works and how to get noticed. The second is a bit of a mindset thing, really. The second thing is that people aren't utilizing direct messages in the right way. They may think that direct messages are a bit spammy, like they're fed up of being pitched left, right, and center, and therefore don't do it themselves. Direct messaging is one of the most underutilized tools when done properly for lead generation. And I'm going to be sharing with you the different ways in which we do that today, so then you can go away and apply it. The third simply comes down to you think you've pretty much got everything right. However, your audience just isn't big enough. And so you think to yourself, if I just could get more people following me, more people connected with me, more people in my network, more opportunity will come my way. I just need a bigger audience. Some people just don't know how to grow. And therefore, again, point number 3 is just comes down to not enough people know what these consultants do. 4 is the one that I find the most sexy. You probably won't, but it's actually the thing that makes the biggest difference to our business. And what it is a marketing and sales process, which is predictable and sustainable over a long period of time. And so what I mean by that is every single month, without fail, I know that if I put X number in, I'm going to get Y number out. I know it because I've done it that often. If I do this level of activity, I'm going to get these results. What I find time and time again is that most people have a bit of a hit and hope approach, the throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks approach, a scattergun approach. And therefore, it's a mindset of if I just keep doing more, eventually things will happen. And that links to number 5, actually. It's the fact that you may think that you've got a strategy. However, in reality, it's on the hope of someone coming back to you. You're looking for inbound leads and waiting for business to come to you. And so you've got 5 compelling reasons as to why people struggle online. And I'm going to be covering them all for you today. But I'm just curious to know, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, which one most resonates with you? What is the thing in your head that it's like, if I just got this right, I reckon I would see a big difference? So we've had a load of 4s come through already. We've got a mixture now of 5, 3, pretty much them all, actually, looking at this. To be fair, I can't see if there is a strong balance towards one. It looks pretty spread, to be fair. So I'll cover them all in equal amounts of detail, but that is fantastic. Thank you very much. It gives me a bit of context as to where you're all at. Rachel can't choose. That's totally fine. Alyssa has none. That's amazing. Cool. So you've pretty much got everything nailed. So hopefully even I can then help you top up with what you're doing for today's session. Now, for those of you that have been to my workshops before, you will know that I don't spend very much time talking about me in them. I know you don't really care about who I am. You're more interested in the information I'm going to share with you, which is totally fine. However, I do like to caveat this with the fact that I could be anyone, right? There are so many people on the internet preaching to know how to generate more leads, more sales, more revenue, business growth, blah, 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 right? I know it. I see it time and time again. And so the stats on there, I'm not going to read them to you. I've got a number of customers that are on the session right now that I'm sure will type things throughout and share their points of view on things as well. But what I want you to know is the fact that everything that I'm going to be talking to you about today, this evening, whenever you're watching this, I'm doing right now. And I share everything online, literally, whether it's on my YouTube channel, whether it's on the new podcast. We're launching a Social Selling Secrets podcast very, very soon. So keep an eye out for that. Or whether it's on my LinkedIn profile. I'm sharing information everywhere because I wish I kind of got it right at the beginning, right? I've had to fail my way to this. And so what I'm trying to do is give people the journey from someone who is just doing it right now with 2 business partners that are actually further ahead than me when I first started. And so if you want to come check me out and we're not connected already, if you attend my workshop, I don't accept every connection request because I don't think that is the right mentality to have at this current point in time. I accept people only, typically, that are either been on workshops or we've got some way of being able to mutually benefit. And so with that, if you scan that QR code, that will take you through to my LinkedIn profile. On my LinkedIn profile, if you click the 3 dots and press connect, I would love to know if you've attended the workshop. So if you just put the word workshop inside of that message that you send to me, I will make sure that we are accepted. And I will also be picking a few of you to give profile reviews to. So I will review your profile and your sales process for free. I typically normally do around 5 to 10 of these per workshop. I basically give it 3 hours tomorrow where I'll get them through to you. So if you come and message me workshop, let me know that you're here, but make sure that we're connected because otherwise I won't be able to give you the feedback that you're after. Now, today's session, I've broken down into 3 specific parts. The 3 specific parts link to the 5 specific points I mentioned before. Shirley, if you send me that message on LinkedIn rather than in the chat box, that'll be where I'll see it because the chat box will disappear after I close the session up. But you've got clarity, connection, and conversion. Remember, any questions at all, make sure that you fire them in that Q&A section for me. I think before I get into the specific like clarity, connection, and conversion content, I need to explain to you why this workshop right now, because I run a number of different ones. This one for consultants I've ran purely because I've had an influx of people messaging me over the past 3 to 4 weeks. People that are very, very experienced. They may have been in business maybe either a couple of months or a couple of years, some even longer to be doing it a long time. But the pandemic was a big, big part where lots of people started their consulting business. Actually, I mean, how long have you been in business? Let me know in the chat box for me. I'd love to know whether it's months, whether it's years. Give me an idea of kind of like how long you've been doing this for. But lots of people started like post-pandemic and they saw a bit of a spike when they first got going. And what I found is that these people went from being the go-to people in the companies that they worked for, the person that everybody asked everything of, and then when they start their own company or when they get going, they go from being that go-to person that everyone wants to talk to suddenly having to fight for attention on social media, right? Having to fight for engagement. They don't really want to post content, but they're told that they have to post content. And they're looking at these impression numbers going, why can't I get more than 200 people to see this when I'm seeing absolute, I'm going to be really, really direct and blunt here, total idiots getting more and more engagement than me. I'm seeing kids get 300 reactions pretending that they know more than what I do in my own industry. Seen it time and time again. And what I want to help people with is to work out how to start capitalizing on these online opportunities and start to be heard in a place that you've not been heard before. And one of the people that we have done this with is actually my business partner, Nick, on the right-hand side there. You can see he had a follower amount of 22,864 when that screenshot was taken. I think he was actually at about 4,000 when we first got started, right, when it came through. And Nick was in a similar position. He went from being the go-to person in his industry, very, very successful business person, has worked in a multitude of industries, built and sold companies all across the world for lots and lots and lots of money. I'm not going to disclose how much, but a lot of money. And in that industry, it didn't matter what conference he went to, what event he went to, what meeting he went to. He could pick up the phone, send a message, go and say hello, and everybody would want to talk to him because they knew who he was. On LinkedIn, however, completely different. And what Nick did, in the same way that so many people do, is they optimize their profiles, they update them, they update the experience sections, they start to have a look at what other people are doing, and they start to post content. And this is what Nick was posting, right, at this point in time. Now, has anyone ever been guilty of posting the motivational quote and graphic on LinkedIn before? Has anyone gone there and fell down that rabbit hole, the Canva rabbit hole, we call it? Time and time again, we see people doing this and the engagement sucks, right? And you spend, I used to spend, I can't tell you like how much time on Canva trying to create pretty graphics that everyone else seems to get huge amounts of engagement on. And when I did it, nothing. And this is something I still see today. People still posting this stuff. You can see that they're putting time and energy into it. But it's amazing how when you understand what makes this platform tick, you can make quick switches. And Nick went from getting an average of 20 reactions, maybe 500 impressions per post, to suddenly getting a couple of hundred. 100 here was the first big one that we did. And that was like 5,000 impressions at the time. And from there, we managed to grow it again and again. And you can see that the comments and the reactions going up. Now, that is purely because he was posting simple, what we call connection-based content. Content that relates, content that people have opinion on, and content that people are going to, they almost can't help themselves but comment. I did one literally 2 days ago. Oh no, it was yesterday. 2 days ago, yesterday, I can't remember. But has anyone been tracking the Bitcoin price recently? Has anyone seen it skyrocket since Trump got in? I'm like, I've been watching it. I've seen it skyrocket. And I knew that if I just spoke about that and found a way to link it to what it was that we do, it would go mad. Now, it didn't go as mad as I thought it would, but it got 30,000 impressions and it created a lot of topic and a lot of debate and drove about 100 followers to my account. This is what we call, people call it newsjacking, I guess. We just call it connection-based content, like grabbing it, taking advantage of it, making it relate to what you do, driving the impressions up to gain more followers. And this is what we've done with Nick, the same with hundreds of other people that we've worked with to drive more growth. Nick, at the start here, we've got the numbers here, actually. I forgot I had this in here. 2022, Nick was at 4,755. So over a couple of years, Nick has gone from 4,700 to overtaking me at 28,475. Pretty strong, right? Huge amounts of growth. but done nothing really special apart from apply simple content creation techniques that work on this platform. Really, really simple. And I'm going to be sharing with you numerous examples of this throughout. So that's why I've done it. That's why we've decided to run this workshop today. Me and Sam put on workshops pretty much every week. Has anyone heard of Samraffling before? Give me a yes in the chat if you've heard of Sam, my business partner. Sam is relentless on LinkedIn, huge audience on LinkedIn, probably the longest standing expert on the platform. And she's helped push some of this content into my presentation today because she's actually closer to the platform than I am. But with it comes a huge amount of knowledge and opportunity, right? And Alyssa, that's a really, really good point. Something that I'll be covering in terms of the conversion part of today, how to move a connection to become a client and how many of those became clients, right? But everything that happens on LinkedIn starts with getting complete clarity on what it is that you need to be doing and what you need to be saying. And with it, I need you to pay real attention to this part because this is the bit that typically makes the biggest difference. There are three things that you need to look at almost before you start utilizing LinkedIn if you want the predictable and sustainable results and not just a once in a blue moon inbound lead coming through, right? You've got to take time to do a little bit of work on this. It doesn't take long, maybe a bit hours concentration. But the first thing is your identity. Now, I realized very early on when it came to being on social media, I've built a following on Instagram of 30,000 people. I've got a couple of groups that have reached 10,000 on Facebook, which I still utilize. I've got a YouTube channel that's got 1,500 subscribers on it, nothing massive, but does a really, really good job for me. And my LinkedIn account is something at like 24,000 now or something like that. And I realized to be able to grow, it isn't just about showing up. It's not just about posting a piece of content every day. It's about understanding why someone should follow you in the first place. What is it that you're going to offer that's different to what everyone else is doing? Now, a lot of you just said there that you know of Sam. Now, I'm curious to know as to whether you know why people follow Sam. There's normally a couple of things that really stand out with Sam's brand that we have honed in on over the last few years of working together and also like the 10 plus years that she's been doing it. But in the chat box for me, what comes to mind when you think of Samraffling, right? What is it that comes in? So Jean's coming straight away with her expertise on LinkedIn. Susanna's personal brand and her story. Shirley, knowledge on LinkedIn. Kerry Ann Powell, what is Sam's last name? Her surname is Raffling, Rathling. Expert on LinkedIn, clear expert. So we can see this, right? Clear as day. The reason that you follow Sam is because her identity is so clear as she is the LinkedIn queen, right? She is the person that you follow when it comes to advice on this platform. She's built that brand over years. And this is something that, again, not everybody thinks about in enough detail. What you then need to do is take a look at, like, what is it that you can talk about that other people aren't, that's going to make people keep coming back to your profile? And so as an example, like I have built my brand from being very, very straight to the point and blunt and direct. Not everybody likes what I've got to say, which is totally fine. However, people follow me for the up-to-date, like cutthroat advice on what's working and what isn't. That's what I set myself as the idea. I wanted people to start saying, Chris Taylor, straight to the point, Chris Taylor, straight to the point, Chris Taylor, straight to the point, over and over and over again. I said it that often that other people then started to say it to me. So I'm now the person that has built himself a little bit of a brand, I guess, of someone that is going to give you blunt advice, whether you like it or not, that's going to help you grow your business. That's it. That's my brand and what I do. My question is whether your LinkedIn profile and what you're doing on that platform ticks the same box or whether there's a bit of work to do. The big part to this, though, is then taking the time to work out what are other people not talking about. Because there's no point having a LinkedIn profile or any social media platform by that matter, and then talking about the same stuff that everyone else is. You've got to find a way to be different. You've got to find a way to stand out, whether that's through your imagery, whether that's through your videos, whether that's through your copy, You've got to find a way to be able to stand out. And it's not that hard, really, if you really think about it, to find them. All you've got to do is go and find some competitors online and see what they're going on about time and time again every day. That's all you got to do. And then work out, when you look at then the stuff that you can talk about, which is the things that no one else is mentioning. That's all we've done, right? And there's lots of other ways to do it, but that's your starting point. And if you don't know the answer to this, I don't know about you, but I sometimes struggle to see the things that are really obvious to change in my own business because I'm so in it. Give me a yes if this is you, like me. Because I'm so in it day to day, I struggle sometimes to see the obvious changes. However, I can really easily see it for other people. I can see exactly what they need to do. I just can't see it for myself, right? This is something that I struggle. It's why I'm very, very fortunate enough to have someone like Nick and someone like Sam and my partner Zoe. And we all help each other out with this stuff because we're able to tap into and identify blind spots for each other. And it's what our community do, right? We have I think just over 200 people in our community at the moment. And with it, we're all looking for ways to be able to spot gaps, give people ideas, give people incentives to do more. And with it, it's amazing when you're in a group like that, the power of utilizing other people's knowledge on your business to grow. And when you've got your identity right, you can then move into building the right audience online. So again, I mentioned to you before, Nick's audience went from 4,000 to 28,000. It's one thing building an audience, but unless they're going to turn into clients, I think Alyssa said this brilliantly, unless they're going to turn into clients, there is literally no point doing it. You may get some impressions, but we're not on here for impressions. We're on here to generate some leads to then make some sales. That's what we're on here for. And so it's really important that you understand how to build the correct audience online. And so at this point, it's where you've got to take a bit of a look at who you're currently connecting with and asking yourself the question, are you currently, first of all, give me a 1 in the chat if you are currently proactively building your LinkedIn network every day. Give me a 1 in the chat if you are. You can send typically between 100 and 200 connection requests a week. Now, big thing here. For those of you that are building your network on the platform, are you then checking, yes or no, if they are active? Have they been on the platform in the last 7 days, whether they've commented or posted? Have you checked? Here's the thing, right? Our acceptance rate, we track it. We have a bit of software that tracks who accepts our connection requests. We have between a 50 and 80% acceptance rate because everybody that we send a request to, we have checked their profile, or our technology has checked their profile and seen whether they're active or not. Aoife, if you ask that question in the Q&A, I will cover it at the end for you because it's going to be going through. But you've got to check to make sure they're active. Otherwise, you're wasting the request. Really, really important that you look at that. The other thing then to have a look at is whether you're just connecting with people that you would call your ideal clients or your ideal prospects. Is anyone out there doing this, just connecting with their ideal clients? They're utilizing all their network connection requests on just their ideal clients. Something that, again, is taught to the majority of people to do. However, I've realized that this isn't the best way of doing it. Because guess what? Your ideal prospects, your ideal clients aren't on this platform realistically to see content that you're posting. I mean, out of interest, the majority of you said that you're consultants on here. What do you consult in? Is it recruitment? Is it leadership? Is it marketing, sales? What do you recruit? What do you consult on? What is the specific bits that you really work on for people? I need an example. Business development for subbies, visual communications. We'll take marketing's a bit biased, voice and presentation skills. There we go. Or leadership, loads of different things. With leadership, I'll choose that one. If you are connecting with a director or a CEO or a founder, they're not typically on LinkedIn for leadership content. They're on LinkedIn for 2 reasons, typically. Number 1, because they're looking to sell for their own businesses themselves, or they're looking to build their professional careers themselves. Or 2, which is the most common reason, It's because they're bored. We utilize social media typically day to day. Some of you may have even picked up Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn whilst I've been presenting already and been caught doom scrolling already. Yeah, that's right. I'm watching you. I know you're doing it. See it time and time again. We use social because we're bored, right? It's a distraction 70% of the time. And therefore, you know, we showcased Nick's content previously, that connection type content. People get a bigger dopamine hit when they connect with a story, an emotion, something funny, or something that gets them frustrated, etc., etc., etc. And so with it, we need to make sure that if we want our LinkedIn profiles to perform, we also need to be connecting with people that are going to find our content interesting. How many of you have posted, right, in the last 2 weeks and wondered like why their ideal prospects aren't engaging on it? They're in my network, they've accepted, but they've not engaged on my post when they should have done. How many of you have done that? I've done it time and time and time again. The reason being is because my content, bearing in mind this all algorithm focused, right? Go back to point number one. My content is not what these people typically engage with. And so with it, it's never going to show in their newsfeed. I guarantee it. You open up your LinkedIn profiles now, it's the same 20 people that show up every single day without fail. Tell me I'm wrong. Every single day, you've got the same faces that are just there waving at you. It's because they know how to get the algorithm right. And that's because what you've engaged in, you've trained the platform to do it. And so with it, content cannot be the only thing that you focus in on. Right, mostly me. Amazing. Like content can't be the only thing you focus in on. Unless you start playing this game properly, then it can be, again, something you apply more time to. But unless you do that, you're not going to see the results that you're after. And what I'm finding every single time I speak to someone is that their content ends up pretty much being a waste of time. And this is where I need to, I don't mean to sound harsh, but I've got to wake people up to the reality that just doing more of this stuff isn't going to get you a different result. And so that's where this stuff needs to happen. Because when I started doing it, and Alyssa, you asked, I know you can't probably see the graphic, but we probably need to update that screenshot, actually. I'll make a note to update that one. But you look at it and you can see when I started to build the audience correctly, when I started to, I'm going to say the word manipulate the algorithm to get my content to be seen by more people. And then I started proactively messaging. I started running webinars like this and doing other like conversion-based campaign work. My revenue went directly up month in, month out because it's monthly recurring revenue. It compounds over time because I'm doing the right things in the right way and getting the attention of the right people. This is so, so powerful. And until you realize this, those results won't come to you. And with it now, like 23,912, there you go. You can see the impressions at the bottom there. My profile views is a bit low compared to normal. It's normally around the 2,500 mark. But my impressions typically sit between 50 and 100,000, like pretty much every week. And so with it, it's about understanding how do you get this number of impressions to drive that follower growth so you can then message more people to drive more leads, then drive more sales. It's just a linear process, not rocket science, genuinely relatively simple, but it's about understanding this because then you can start to apply it. Now what I'm going to take you through is your offer because you can build your audience up, but if people don't want what you're selling, then you're never going to get there. Whose business at the moment, and you don't have to send this to me, you can change this just to send this to the hosts and panelists rather than everyone, but it's nothing to be ashamed of actually, because some people do really well from this. Who currently relies solely pretty much on word of mouth or referrals for their business at this current point in time? It's not something Jill doesn't, that's amazing. So Patricia does, that's fine. As we go through, there's lots of yeses now coming through, as everyone can see in the chat, right? Not a bad thing. However, the thing that people do need to realize is that word of mouth typically comes in feast and famine. So it's not sustainable. And the reason why this happens is because either you're not communicating enough what it is that you do, or what you're currently doing isn't being truly valued by your prospect at the point in time that you're saying it. And so I've been in this position before where I put a proposal in front of someone, and like everything they're saying is that they're almost nodding their heads. They're like, yeah, this is great, absolutely amazing, perfect stuff, Chris, like really, really useful, sounds good, want to get going, blah, 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 blah. And then they don't go forward with it. Has anyone ever had that? I think they call it ghosting, don't they? Like you put all this on, you get all the nods, like, yeah, I'm all in, this is great, perfect stuff, and then nothing. You're like, well, what do I have to do to get you to sign on the issue is, and I've come to learn this the hard way, is that my offer wasn't right, they weren't right, or the way that I explained what it was that I was doing wasn't right. And what that ends up happening is you getting a lack of responses or a lack of inquiries. And I know this, again, because I've been there and done it. Pre-pandemic, I used to run an Instagram 2-day course, right? 2-day course, used to sell it for £500, but I used to really, really struggle to sell it. And I didn't know why. I thought people would love to learn about Instagram. Like I built a following, people would love to learn it. And I sat there, I was sitting with Nick at the time. We were in London at the time. And he was like, well, instead of trying this hard, trying to sell something that obviously people don't want, why don't you switch it up? And I was like, well, how do you switch it up? I don't really know how you go about doing that. And he's like, well, switch it so it's outcome focused rather than just generic and vague. Switch the title of the product. The information could pretty much be the exact same, but switch the title of it so it's outcome focused. And I don't know about you, but I'm curious. Can you see, I'm going to ask you the question. What would you be more likely to buy, right? A 2-day Instagram masterclass or access to 1,000 followers in 30 days challenge, right? Same price, right? What are you more inclined to go for? Is it how to get 1,000 followers in 30 days or is it 2-day? If it's 1,000, put 1,000. If it's the 2-day, put the 2-day. I am genuinely curious to know which way you would go. Like brutal honesty with me, right? Brutal honesty. It's not a trick question. I'm genuinely just interested. So the majority of people are saying 1,000. And with it, like I look at this and I'm like, this is no shock as to why people bought it. Because I used to struggle, like I said, to sell this. I put it out there, had 1,000 followers in 30 days. And that was my April. So in March 2020, I launched it. In April, I put 25 grand in the bank. I had never made that much money in a month before, ever. Right? It was selling a £300 program, 30 days, delivered online. And I looked at it and I'm like, it's almost like we invented fire. Me and Nick literally were peeing ourselves laughing at these results. Like it was mental what would happen. We didn't change anything. Literally, all we did was change the name of the product and suddenly everyone wanted it. And sometimes it can be something as simple as that is preventing you from securing that low hanging fruit opportunity that's there. And so with clarity, right, getting an idea on your identity, your audience, and your offer, when you get that right, you can then start to really utilize this platform properly. And the platform I've split into 3 specific parts, right? Alyssa, I'm going to challenge you on that. It's much easier when you have products rather than services. You can productize your service. I've not found a business yet where I can't productize their service in the way that we build offers out. So again, with it, we can 100% work on that. But prospecting, engaging, and posting, right? With prospecting, it's 2 things, network building and outreach. I've spoke about network building already, right? I've already spoke about that. You've got to be doing it. But when it comes to outreach, this is the bit that I think people miss. Like most people send messages without any real thought at all, thinking it's a volume game and they're spamming people left, right, and center. And some people aren't sending them. Now, I'm curious to know by you guys, if you're sending direct messages every day right now, just give me a 1 in the chat. If you aren't, give me a 2. Right, let's just see where we're currently at. So we've got quite a few people that are sending that. It seems to be like a bit of a 50-50 split. Now, direct messages are the way that we generate the majority of our leads. Content does it, but really, like the majority of our leads come from our direct messaging. On average, 50 to 100 messages go out on my account every single day without fail, unless LinkedIn tells me I need to stop. And one thing that remains the same is that you've got to have reverse psychology built into your direct messaging, and you've also got to have a huge amount of value packed in. You do that and you'll see some insane results. Now, direct messaging, if you're not getting responses like the right-hand side there, and people aren't coming back to you, you're doing it wrong, right? Every single day, I get people thanking me, asking for more information, or actually, I think there's one on here. No, there's not. Normally, there's one on here telling me to go away. There's always one, right? Every 100 people, there's always one that goes, have you not seen what I do? Like, you shouldn't be pitching to me. I'm like, go away, mate. Like, seriously, I don't care. This is working for us. And the 1 out of 100, I really don't care about. It's a mentality, call me arrogant, whatever, but there's always one, whatever you want to call them, that's going to moan at you. Accept it. It's going to happen. Not everyone's going to like what you do, right? Mindset thing, get over it, because everything else works extremely well. And our previous sales manager did this brilliantly well. So she would have her first message, and sometimes she would send a video message with it. So a video message, this one went to a guy called Gal. Gal ended up being a client after this, actually, but you can see the conversation. I'm not going to read it because it would take me too long, right? Gal came back saying, would love a conversation off the back of that video message. That video message is something that we teach, right? We teach people how to send those properly. And with it, you can see here, okay, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., Tuesday. Leanne had here, I'm blocked Monday, Tuesday's my only day in the office. This is actually a sales technique. It's about actually showcasing that you're busy. She was actually busy that day, but even like we would drive scarcity into call conversations to increase show up rate. It's a Sandler technique. But with it, you can see here, this is what one of our clients received from messaging. This is the sort of stuff that it's not just me that gets this, right? Our clients get this as well. But again, from here, hey, Piers, firstly, kudos for writing a sales message that I've got to the end of. Appreciate your approach. No business was done here, but you can see what Piers said. Boom, it strikes again, silently and digitally working its magic in the background. That's the direct messaging approach that he's talking about here, the killer DM. He's called it the killer DM. We don't call it that, but that's what people refer it to. It's just a direct message approach. But with it, it drives a huge response rate, it builds our email list, and then it books calls in, right? All it does is just focus on those 3 things. Direct messaging you need to do if you want results on this platform. Otherwise, you're just going to be waiting for business to come to you, and that is not what we advise. Now, engagement is something which loads of people talk about, right? But very little people do. I don't do a huge amount of it. However, if you're just starting out on LinkedIn, doing it for 10 minutes a day will only benefit you. And when I say doing it for 10 minutes a day, I mean commenting on your prospects' content and no one else. Like, get their attention. People want their content commented on. So if you're going to take any note down, think of engagement online like in-person networking. Best way of looking at it. Create that core list of people and then show up every day. I guarantee you go and leave a comment on the same person's account. I do this for mine, right? So when people engage with my content, I will then see them. If they do it like more than 10 times, you remember their name and then you start engaging with theirs. I don't even know why it happens. You just feel almost guilty into doing it. Like you end up seeing their content more. And this is a big thing, right? If you ever notice that there's loads of people commenting and you can see their names across multiple accounts? Have you ever noticed that? Give me a yes if you've noticed that before. Names that appear on almost multiple accounts over and over and over again. The reason why they do it is purely because the more they comment, the more that person is then going to come back and check their profile out and engage more, right? It's reciprocal in terms of how it works. And so, like with my stuff, I know that if I go and start engaging with more and more bigger accounts, what's going to happen? Boom, they're going to start engaging back. And when you start doing this consistently, you start to see the results. And so I always say to people, like, reciprocation. You engage with me, I engage with you, you engage with Nick. Like, literally find your group of people and generate that engagement back. And it links directly to posting, actually. So posting is really simple. Most people don't either post enough content or they're sharing information that's never going to perform on the platform, right? There are lots of social media coaches out there. I see them time and time again, and I'm not digging at them here, right? Because they do what they do. But they'll use terms like, you need to just document your journey. You need to just share your most valuable information. Content is actually, especially on these platforms now, because it's so competitive, so much more complex than just posting. To drive your impressions up, I mentioned Nick's content before, but it's the same that's going to go for you as well. There are certain types that you need to get out there. And your content strategy needs to be a blend of connection-based content, which is basically controversial. I guess controversial is probably not the word everyone loves, but strongly opinionated content with strong headlines, with an image that links to it, that's going to get people commenting. Number one. Number two is control-based content. So connection is number one. Number two is control-based content. And control-based content is about putting your lead magnets out there, right, to drive more email lists, like emails to your list. The third is then conversion-based content, which you utilize to drive people to your conversion campaign. So you're skipping out processes as you're going through here. Connection is 80%, 10% is control, 10% conversion. Really, really simple to follow. So whatever content that you do, 80% to be driving impressions, 10% to take control of it, 10% to convert it. This is my example board of my connection-based content. Is it reaching hundreds of thousands of people? Nope. However, it is driving followers to my account. This one's talking about the charity work that we do. This one's taking the mick out of saying I bought a boat. This one here is giving people business advice. This one is a story about something that I saw happen in a bar. And this one I can't see because the thing, but this is something that business advice again, but done in a way to drive impressions. If you want to learn what that is, I'll share it with you very, very shortly. But when you start to produce this content, Philippa went from 7,000 to 7,600 followers in 5 days, 32 messages of people wanting to work with her, one piece of content. Charlie joined her first call, it wasn't yesterday, back when I took this screenshot about a month ago, and rewrote her intro post. So one of the things we get you to do is write an introduction post. And with Nick's tweaks, got a DM message from a guy I worked with years ago and was so happy. Never get DMs off content. Boom. Zoe, my fiance, 880 followers that she's got on this platform, right? 880. I think she's got around 900 now. Zoe reached 133,000 people for one piece of one piece of content. Now, I'm curious to know, in the chat box for me, what is your average number of impressions per post that you do? Do you know it? Is it 100, 500, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million? What is it? Geez, okay. Right. So my rule of thumb is, if you've got over 100 followers and you're not able to reach 1,000 people minimum, you need to do something wrong. If you've got 1,000 or more and you're not able to reach an average of 2,000, you're doing something wrong. Zoe was able to reach 100,000 people with 800 followers. You do not need a huge audience to build or reach people on this platform when you understand how it works. 2,000 impressions per post. Yeah, that is the average you should be expecting. When Zoe did this with her right optimized profile, again, she started to receive messages like that. It is as simple as this guy. Like, the right content, the right profile, the right messaging technique, that is how you get LinkedIn working for you. There's nothing more complex than that. Don't let anybody try and kid you that it is. Because Matt Fletcher is another prime example. When he worked directly with Sam for about a year, I believe, went on her masterclasses and utilized the information that we now train inside of our academy. 127,000 views on that piece of content from Matt, 30-odd thousand followers. This was the message that he sent Sam. Taken on 18 new customers this month. All have come through LinkedIn. The first was that post, 129,000 views. No more complex than this, guys. Like, very, very simple. We then move into, when you get LinkedIn done, right, you then move to conversion, right? Conversion then is the biggest issue that so many people have with platforms like LinkedIn. Typically, people are either number one or number two. Number one is reactive. So active on the platform, but then sit back and wait for business to come to them. Or two, proactive. However, can't get the conversations that they're after and feel like they're wasting their time. Now, curious, which one do you lean towards the most? Is it number one or number two? Reactive, waiting for business, or two, proactive, but not getting the results that you're after? Oh, lots of twos. Cool. That's different. Normally, we have a pile load of ones. Everybody is a two. This is mental. Okay, cool. So people basically doing stuff, but not enough. And then there's a few people that are kind of like, again, active, but not getting anything going for them. Self-awareness at this point is actually the most important part, right? And so my question to you when it comes to this is understanding why people aren't responding to you. And it's like I mentioned before, people not on social media to buy things. This isn't Amazon. It's not Google, right? Proactive, Alyssa, is like, you're putting out content, yes, but you're direct messaging, you're following up, you're having conversations, you're booking calls in. trying to book calls in anyway. You're putting lead magnets out there, but no one's downloaded them. So you're doing stuff, but not quite hitting the mark with the amount of leads that you want. Again, what I found, and you can see the example on the right-hand side there, like my content, love your post tonight, watch your YouTube clip, tomorrow is the document, thank you. Boom, does it cost £250 a month? That was our premium version. But then again, like when you get those messages through, right, you utilize those social media profiles to get out there to the world. You then direct message people to drive them to the next stage in your process. The moment that we built then this marketing and sales process that I'm about to show you, this is just one, takes around about maybe 2 to 3 hours of work to build. You will then start to see the results that pretty much the majority of our clients are getting. Piers has put his stats there. Again, the biggest one really is 27 people directly DMing me from my LinkedIn content, 15 responding to a poll, and then 7 referrals came through. 33 then became billable clients, right? Again, the data's there. I'm not going to read this to you purely because of time, but with it, it's about understanding that it's this sort of process that works. You utilize LinkedIn to drive your audience up. You send your messages to drive people to the next step. Your messages then should be linked to something that converts. And the thing that people miss is the bit that converts. It could be a webinar, a discovery call. It could be, I'm going to share all these with you in a second. But like with a webinar as an example, people always ask me, is a webinar a type of conversion content? Yes, webinar is. I had around about 200 people register for this. I think there's 80 people that are here today right now. So 50% show up rate pretty much. And then from that, people, some anyway, will decide to work with us, some won't. Again, it's just an opportunity, right, in terms of building out conversion campaigns. And this is what we specialize in helping people with. You could remove my social media accounts from me now, right? Remove it from us, and the pipeline wouldn't be touched. 23,000 people we've built our email list by. We're not worried about the algorithm changes because, again, we're protected. We've built it up. We're stable. And so if you're not driving your email list forwards, like you're leaving so much opportunity on the table. I mean, out of curiosity, how did you find this event today? Did you find it via email or did you find it via social media? Just give me an answer in the chat for me, email or social. How did you find it? Right? The majority, actually, is more socials today, which is not, but it's around about 75% of the people that have showed up today have come via email. And so if you don't have an email list, again, you're missing out on at least 75% of the opportunity. And so now is the time to think about this customer journey, because when you get your email list, just like Melissa had, and I think I'm due to speak to Melissa, actually, I think in a few days' time. But again, 6 sales of her products just from one email. It's pretty simple. And it comes from this. This is a thing to screenshot if you want to screenshot anything. This is everything that you can pretty much do when it comes to building an audience. This is what we teach, all of the different elements. Control. There are a number of ways to then take control of your audience. What are you going to give away to be able to get the email address? Eric, that's something that we go through in a lot of detail, actually. We have our own software that enables you to do this, but you give away a lead magnet, a PDF or a video, and you have it embedded on a landing page, and the landing page then gets you marketing permissions and the email address. Once you've got then taken control of the data, most people then do nothing with it. That's what I find mad. You build your email list up. For those of you that are, that's a big stop, but then do nothing with it. You start to move people into conversion, sales calls, free sessions, scorecards, meetings, live webinars, proposals. Then you move them through to closing, whether that's an order form or a call or whatever. This is the stuff that you need to break down. You pick one, you get it done. You automate it. You pick another, automate it. Pick another, automate it. And you compound all of these lead generation sources. It doesn't take that much. You can just have one campaign, content that builds your following on LinkedIn, that direct messages people to a PDF, that drives people to a sales call, close them out, done. It's one of the most powerful campaigns that we've got, and something that everyone needs to work on, because whether you're working at clarity stage, which is your product market fit, whether it's not knowing how to build your email list, whether it's not knowing what conversion vehicle to pick, whether it's not then knowing how to convert business and how to automate it, all of this stuff is available to you, right, to be able to do. And so in terms of advice, like it's there, right, for you to be able to read. Your biggest thing with this is not getting your way to success, though. Like we have helped clients create that many campaigns that we know how this game needs to be played. This stuff is not difficult. I'm hoping you start to realize that from this session today. And the proof is there. Like this is a typical process that you go through. You get your offer sorted, 100,000 impressions there. 1 million impressions George got. 1.5 million he got in the last 28 days. 1.3 on LinkedIn. And I asked him to share the results that he got. 60K since November that's there. Raised over 350 grand's worth of it, or no, £2 million worth of investment. Pretty solid, actually, for a person in property off the platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook. Not bad. Now, social selling from this whole session today, I want you to realize is extremely simple, but it does need the right mindset, the right messaging, and then some testing to get it right. And what I want to give you the opportunity today is to come and join us and have us help you build these processes if you're feeling like you need some support in doing it. Now, with it, we don't believe in expensive education whatsoever. I'm just going to give you the price now. It's £50 a month. There's no contract, no nothing. And in this, I'm going to go through kind of what it is and how it works. The first part is training. So again, we have step-by-step trainings on every element that I've just mentioned throughout today. So if all of this stuff relates to you, the training teaches you how to do it. It's basically mine, Sam's, and Nick's brains downloaded into a program for you to be able to work through. The second thing then is group accountability. And so as a group, we are all driving forwards every single day. The community is extremely active, but it's all about making sales, right? We're not talking just about impressions or conversation. It's about making money. And as you go through the group accountability, we then do also group mentoring. So every Monday at 12 p.m., every Thursday at 2 p.m., we give feedback on all the different work, and we also give training. And then part 4 then is technology. So in January, we released some technology, which someone mentioned about before. We are building technology pretty much every single week, developing new things. We've just released lead magnets. We've got link tracking coming, email marketing coming. All of the stuff that I've mentioned, we are giving this as part of the £50 a month package. We are literally disrupting the space. We're very, very simple. Alyssa, no, it's not on Slack. We used to use Slack. Our community is on Circle, but we also have our own developed portal that is what we get everybody on, right? Very, very simple. We take you through that process, like I mentioned. You can see an image of the portal there. That's just a video vault. The roadmaps are actually what you work through, which is a step-by-step training. It's like the business version of Netflix, I guess, is the way that we like to label it. But connection, control, conversion, and close. You start at the beginning and you work your way through. We are a team of 5 that work on this. So you've got me, Sam, Nick, Zoe, and Elise. We all set objectives every month. So this month we've set meeting objectives. So the number of meetings that you can book, right? Ruth, that is a great, great question. The integration with your website is something currently that's like wouldn't need to be done with the technology that we offer. It's not something that we would connect up purely because the portal will give you it all that's there, and your website can just be hosted on a different platform. But what we need you to do is just apply what we teach you. The best people that perform in this, we have a huge success rate because the people that join just do what they're told to do. And so the mentoring and the consulting, every Monday, 12 p.m., Thursday, 2 p.m., we work through the roadmaps. And then inside of the community, you can ask questions about anything related to your business. The support inside that community is unlimited. You can't not ask us a question. Anything that's related to your business, we will help you with. We have helped people with recruitment, with sales, marketing, product offer, anything that you need. Our community or me, Nick, or Sam, or Elise, or Zoe will be able to help you with it. And when you need support, the biggest thing is that sometimes people get a little bit lonely. Patricia, no, you don't. Donna is someone that we've worked with for, I reckon, now a couple of years. And everybody gets a wobble, right? I think everyone can be honest with themselves. We all get a wobble moment. And sometimes we just need someone to talk to. And with Donna, that is exactly what we do. Hillary, no, it's not. It's £50 per business. And you're allowed, I think it's 3 people on the one membership. But you can see here, waking up feeling more hopeful. We'll get everything to you in a bit. You've got this, and then bang, close 7.5 grand off one call. Just close then 45 grand off the back of it, all based on you giving me. Sometimes we just need the push. Okay. The technology, you can see it on the right-hand side there. Again, like everything is being developed even further at the moment, improving every single day. This isn't perfect. We are working on it. We want feedback on this. I'm going to be straight up with you. Like the more and more people we can get feedback from, the better it will be. And that's why the pricing is the pricing as well. Okay. So again, with it, very, very simple. That's what you get, £50 a month. If you want to join, the QR code is there. It's social selling. I'm going to pop the link into the chat box for you. You can read what's included. I don't need to do that. I think I've made this as much of a no-brainer as possible. I mean, 50 quid a month. I always say to people, experience it for a month. It's £1.67 a day. Experience it for a month. And if you don't like it, leave. We have a huge success with retention because the results happen extremely quickly. I can be bold and arrogant enough just to say that. Like me, hate me, whatever. But we also run in-person stuff as well. So every quarter, you can join us for our quarterly mastermind. We have one actually on I think it's the 6th of December. And with it, we go in person. I think for like a basic member at £50 a month, it is, I think, £100 to come and join us for that, right? Very, very easy to do. And I'm going to give you an incentive for those of you that would also like to speak to me or one of like me, Nick, or Sam, depending on where you're at, and we'll work out where you're at and who's best to speak to. But for the first 5 people, right, it is only 5 people that we can do this for purely because of our time. And we are in the group all the time. But we were going to give the first 5 people a 30-minute one-to-one call with us, right? So you will speak to us. We'll talk through the first 30 days and what you're going to do. You will all receive an onboarding call anyway, but this is about a strategy call. And it's an incentive for the first 5 people that join us today, right? I talk about offers. This is part of the offer. And it's part of getting people to really commit to us. That's what we want. And so with it, socialselling.co.uk/join, it's £50 plus VAT per month. And again, with it, all you got to do is give us 30 days notice when you want to leave, and you can leave. I guarantee it though, come and experience it. People do not get this level of, so people charge hundreds of pounds a month for these sorts of things. It's ridiculous how much people spend. Like, join this is all you need. Like, every question, you're working with a multimillionaire and Nick, you're working with a LinkedIn expert, Sam, you're working with a marketing and sales person that's done a couple of million quid in sales, helped people make a fortune, plus 2 others that are extremely experienced and talented at what they need to do as well. 50 quid a month plus a community of 200 people that will also network, help you out, and you'll get to meet at some point. I hope that has been helpful, by the way. And that QR code, I believe, is working because I've had a few emails come through already. So I appreciate all your time. Was that helpful for everybody? Just give me a thumbs up, or I will go into the Q&A section in a second. I'm hoping that was helpful for you all. Check the Q&A out. I've got a call that I need to jump onto, but will you upload to YouTube? Yes, I will. But you have to take your advice. Graham, 100% right. You do, 100%. Really helpful. Speak to my partner. Amazing stuff. Good. If anyone has any questions, please make sure you DM me on LinkedIn. I will answer them. So yes, I will upload it to YouTube. I'm suddenly getting a complete influx of people from overseas commenting on my posts, requesting connections. Never really had this volume with them before. Is there a reason for that? Typically, sometimes your post may put into a certain group that you may not be aware of. I'd have to look at your account, Bryony, if I'm honest. I'll have to have a look at that in a bit more detail to give you the proper answer. What's the software to track connection request acceptance rate? So we do this in our technology. So it's something that we will be releasing to you. Again, you input your stats in it and it tracks it. Give us an example of a reverse psychology on a DM. So Suzanne, that is something that we teach in detail. However, it was also on you can watch the replay of this and see that one of the examples of the reverse psychology on a DM. One of the things would be, Louise, I will let you know if you're the first 5. It's very, very simple. Give us an example. So reverse psychology could be something as simple as, please don't feel the need to respond. I know you're extremely busy. And to be honest, you've probably got a lot more better things to do. Simple thing. Including that in a sentence will make people go, oh, no, hold on. And we'll respond to you. I provide a service and I put together a DM using Sam's social selling tips. I'm enjoying refining it as I learn. What are your thoughts on including the Calendly meeting invite for someone to click on it? I would not use a Calendly meeting link in any message unless you've asked for permission to send it. The likelihood of them completing it is very, very unlikely. And so increase your percentage by delaying the Calendly meeting link to a second or third message. Can you summarize the 3 types of posts you mentioned? Connection, conversion, control. Would you please? So yeah, connection content is stuff that's quite strong, going to generate conversation in comment sections. Controversial content is connection. Control content is lead magnet posting. So if you look on my account, you'll see loads of these. It's about putting out there, getting people to say yes to download a lead magnet. Conversion content is getting people to basically book calls, join webinars, etc., etc. Some people also schedule strategy call. Is this also the same as discovery call? Yeah, exactly the same. How often should you send email letters without pissing people off? I typically send 1 or 2 a week, but it depends on what I'm promoting. If it's a good email, you won't annoy people. Is this only UK based? No, it's not. I'm actually in Australia at the moment. We are international, America, Middle East, UK, Australia, New Zealand, literally all over the place. Is this suitable B2C? Depends on the B2C business, Shirley. So if you message me on LinkedIn, I'll be able to tell you. On the platform, does it pull data through from LinkedIn or do we input the data? So currently you would input the data, but we use another bit of software, which can't technically tell you what it is at this current point. However, Brian, if you ask me on LinkedIn, I may be able to share it with you. Cool. Thank you very much, guys. I hope that was helpful for you. Get rid of that. For those of you that are joined for the first 5, I look forward to speaking to you. Luis, yes, you definitely would if it's a service business. It works specifically for service businesses. I really hope that was helpful. Thank you very much for your time. I'm actually late for a call, which Kirsty is the most likely going to kick my ass for being late. So thank you very much for your time. This replay will be live in the next 24, 48 hours or so. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon. Goodbye. Over and out.